Breaking news, Sky 5 above a massive fire in Wake County, visible for miles. A live report from the scene about the effort to contain the fire.
Threats leading to lockdowns at several school districts across our area. How officials say they're all connected.
Francine is soaking the Gulf, and we could soon feel its impacts here. I've got the new timeline for clouds and rain chances into our weekend.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Let's begin right here with this breaking news. This is a massive fire burning in Wake County. We can't say it's under control, which is good, but that smoke could be seen for miles. Cars and construction material charred and destroyed, as you can see from this video. This is a site off of South Selma Road. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Dan Haggerty. WRAL's Aaron Thomas got to the scene about 30 minutes ago. He's joining us live now. Aaron, officials are trying to figure out a few things about this, including how this fire started in the first place.
Yeah, that's correct, Dan. In fact, just within under 5 minutes, we've seen more trucks that start to roll through this area of South Selma Road. Keep in mind, this is on the Wake and Johnston County line, so we are seeing the efforts from both Wake and Johnston County firefighters that are still on scene. The good news is it looks like much of that fire is under control. As we arrived here, we did see some smoke billowing from the scene, but Sky 5 will paint a better picture for our viewers, showing you a lot of that black smoke that was billowing in the air, and we also saw a lot of the vehicles on scene that appear to be impacted. Just to show you how intense some of the smoke was, our WRAL tower cam in downtown Raleigh saw much of this smoke here in Wendell from miles away. We did some research online, and it shows that this particular building is the Argonne Transport Company. It was once registered DOT registered motor operating company. So they're trying to work exactly what caused this fire. The good news is that no injuries have been reported for any people, as well as some of the nearby farm animals on scene. Aaron Thomas, WRAL News, live in Wake County.
Things improving there. So several threats today sent local schools into lockdown. And this included 2 in Wake County and 2 others in Moore County. In the last few hours, we're talking to officials. They've confirmed that all of them are connected, stemming from copycats after the deadly school shooting in Georgia. These hoax threats were made at 4 schools. One included Cary Elementary, and Sky 5 was flying over that a little earlier today. WRAL's Julian Grace is live in Moore County after speaking with parents in that community. Julian, what are they telling you?
Well, Dan, some of these parents that I'm speaking to, they're telling me this is now, unfortunately, the new normal. But what are investigators saying here in Moore County? Well, they're telling us that 2 schools were placed on a soft lockdown out of an abundance of caution. And once they determined those threats were not credible, that lockdown was lifted and students were able to leave and go home as scheduled this afternoon. Let's go back to one of the schools in question. This right here is Cameron Elementary School. Now, sheriff deputies were on campus there for dismissal earlier in the afternoon. Now, the Moore County Sheriff's Office posted on Facebook saying this is part of a pattern of similar threats that have recently occurred across the state. These hoax and threats come just days after the Georgia high school shooting. Now, law enforcement across our area have become more aggressive in identifying those responsible for making the threats and issuing charges. Specifically in Rocky Mount, a student was charged for allegedly making threats on social media, targeting schools in 2 different districts. That said, listen to what one parent had to say here in Moore County.
It's a new world we're living in, so it's something we got to deal with. Luckily, the law enforcement here, I feel, was pretty much on top of it in Moore County. So I feel pretty safe, but you never know.
That is the common theme you're hearing out here today, that law enforcement was on top of it from the very beginning. Tonight, all new at 10 and 11, you will hear from more parents and what they're saying about these hoax and these threats that are circulating in the community. For now, reporting live in Moore County, Julian Grace, WRAL News.
Makes parents and families nervous. Julian, thank you. And also coming up in just a few minutes, WRAL's Heidi Kirk will take a closer look at some school districts in our area that have these panic button systems now in place in the event of a real threat. Another breaking news story for you. This one in Durham. A motorcyclist was taken to the hospital after colliding with a school bus. It happened at the intersection of Fletcher's Chapel and Rogers Road. Video here from Sky 5. None of the students, fortunately, were hurt, but a female motorcyclist does have some minor injuries. As we take a look at some of the latest models now, as we track Tropical Storm Francine, taking a look at it in the Gulf here. This storm is expected to threaten into a hurricane, strengthen, I should say, into a hurricane, threatening that area, making landfall sometime tomorrow. As we also take a live look tonight at Louisiana, where some of the, you see the Caesars Superdome there, some of those outer bands will start to arrive there. Meteorologist Kat Campbell in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. And Kat, we'll start seeing clouds move in here tomorrow as well.
Yes, we will. But man, it's going to be a rough 48 hours there in Louisiana. They're already seeing some of the outer rain bands right now. Not the most intense stuff. That's going to be right around the center when that makes landfall tomorrow evening into tomorrow night. Top winds are 65 miles per hour. It's moving to the northeast at about 10 miles per hour. It's picked up a little bit of speed. Tropical Storm Francine should strengthen into a Category 1 hurricane before making landfall late tomorrow. Top winds around 90 miles per hour at that time. And the core of the remnants, they're going to stay pretty far west of us in North Carolina, and all of the models are in good agreement on that fact. However, we are still going to see some impacts here in North Carolina, though they look like they'll be pretty low impacts for us. Friday and Saturday, a 20% chance of rain. We lowered that. And Sunday, about a 30% chance. I'll have a closer look at this system on Futurecast, plus a couple more that could develop after it coming up.
All right, Kat, this is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center, and here we go. We are just a couple of hours away from the second presidential debate of 2024. This is new video in the past 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Former President Donald Trump arriving there for tonight's debate. Vice President Kamala Harris already is in Philadelphia for that first meeting between the two, which is going to start about 9 o'clock. This is a live picture right now from Independence Hall there in downtown Philadelphia, just a few blocks from the National Constitution Center, where tonight's debate is going to happen. Also all new in the past hour, Vice President Harris's running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, told a crowd that Harris will lay out a plan for the country tonight while Trump, quote, will talk about revenge. Now, NBC News coverage of the debate begins at 8 o'clock here on WRAL. The debate itself begins at 9 o'clock. It's expected to go about 90 minutes. And I invite you to join us here on WRAL after the debate for our 11 o'clock news. We will show you the big moments from the debate and also take a look at local reaction.
We got a lot of big decisions to make. Brian, thank you. Come Election Day, a lot of things in North Carolina with a lot of importance. Tonight, our exclusive WRAL News poll looked at some of the top offices in the state. And Survey USA asked 676 likely voters how they'd vote in the governor's race if the election were held today. 51% say they plan to vote for Democrat Attorney General Josh Stein. 37% for Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. 11% right now are still undecided. We also asked about the Attorney General's race. Democrat Jeff Jackson leads Republican Dan Bishop right now. According to this poll, 43 to 36. The number of undecided likely voters, though, is still pretty large in this race at 21%. Tomorrow, our WRAL News poll takes an in-depth look at the top issues for this election, from immigration to the economy, crime, and more. We're going to reveal which issues will matter most at the polls in North Carolina. Those results starting on our 4 o'clock newscast here on WRAL. All right, let's get you caught up on some of the other top stories that we're following for you today. Here are the 5 things you should know right now. A Wilson County man appeared in court today for the death of a teenager, Jacob Castro. Wilson police charged Albert Green for selling Jacob drugs at the time of his death last September. Months later, police added 1 count of felony death by distribution to his drug charges. Green's attorney told the judge they plan to seek trial in this case. His next court date is scheduled for December 10th. New developments in the shooting death of a Greensboro police sergeant, Philip Nix. A Superior Court officially now indicted the 3 suspects. Jameer Foster is charged with first-degree murder, assault with a deadly weapon, robbery, and drug possession. John Morrison is also facing first-degree murder charges, and Zaquira Blackwell is charged with accessory after the fact. Raleigh police gathered to honor the life of one of their own. The department held a wreath-laying service to honor the memory of Officer Charles Paul. Paul was killed while working on September 10th, 2002. He was chasing a speeding vehicle on I-40 between Rock Quarry Road and Hammond Road when he lost control and crashed. Officer Paul was 30 years old. A 3-year-old girl at the center of an Amber Alert has been found safe in Columbus County. Police issued an Amber Alert for Chloe Marlowe after 11:30 last night. Police in Boiling Springs Lakes, they canceled that Amber Alert around 9:30 this morning. Chloe was taken to a hospital in Whiteville to be examined. It took 6 years, but crews are putting the finishing touches on a project to widen a 14-mile stretch of I-40 south in Raleigh. The project was supposed to wrap up, you might remember, 2 years ago, but there were supply chain issues and various other problems after COVID that delayed the progress. Crews added multiple lanes in both directions. The project includes a new exit at Cleveland Road. Stick around. Still ahead tonight here at 7 o'clock. One Outer Banks community is scrambling to protect their oceanfront homes after another fell into the ocean last week. The renewed sense of urgency coming up. Plus,
amid conversations about school violence across the country, we're asking our local school districts what measures they have in place to stop crime. Coming up, how many school systems in our area have a panic button system and how exactly those can be used to stop a crisis.
Just a week before the shooting at Appalachia High School in Georgia, the county put in a new panic button system there to alert law enforcement during emergencies. WRAL News found at least 8 school districts in our area that have similar technology in place, including the largest in our state, Wake County. As WRAL's Heidi Kirk reports, not every district, though, uses the same type.
All eyes are on Appalachia High School in Georgia, many now analyzing the emergency response to last week's shooting. At the heart of it, a panic button.
The teachers each have an ID with their picture on it, and they have a button on that ID, and they press it so many times, and it alerts us where that incident is occurring.
We found several school systems in our area have some type of panic button technology. Michael Catagnis helped roll out Edgecombe County Schools' use of the WRAL app, which has a virtual panic button.
Right now, it's working for us.
Catagnis tells us every Edgecombe County public school teacher has the app on their phone, with options to instantly alert law enforcement during a crisis, letting them know exactly where the emergency is happening.
Everyone has a cell phone with them, so no matter where they go on the campus, they're able to activate that app.
So you might ask, why not just call 911? Well, Edgecombe County Sheriff's deputies say the app is actually faster. With just one click of a button, both administration officials and law enforcement are alerted to that crisis.
Wake County Public Schools is working to equip every teacher in all 200 schools with the WRAL app this fall. A spokesperson says every school already has a hardwired panic button that's monitored 24/7.
Have you ever considered a physical button?
We have. It's once, like I said, everything, we got new stuff that's coming out always. So this may be down the road, we may actually do that. But right now, this is what's working for us.
Edgecombe County Sheriff's deputies tell us the system has not yet been used in an emergency, but has been tested during an active shooter drill. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, Edgecombe County.
Raleigh's new upgraded Union Station facility is more than halfway complete. This is really cool. It's a time-lapse video. Go Triangle posted this video of their progress today. Take a look. So this is the Warehouse District, of course, right in downtown at West and Martin Streets, adjacent to the train station. Streetscape improvements are underway right now. The new bus facility is slated to open next year, though you can see they got a lot done. This is the rendering there. It's part of a larger development called Union West, which will include housing and retail as well. Cary and Durham right now, both cities ranked among the top 10 real estate markets in the country this year. There was this new Wallet Hub report that puts Cary in 3rd place, Durham ranking coming in at number 5. This study weighs a few things, more than a dozen metrics, but they include home values based on Zillow forecasts and days on the market. Charlotte came in at number 7. It's been almost 1 month now since a video here of the moment the Atlantic Ocean pretty much claimed this home in Rodanthe. This is a viral moment. Everybody was looking at this all over the country. The result is a renewed urgency for a solution, something in place to protect these coastal homes. Cape Hatteras National Seashore says they have been monitoring this stretch of homes for months. Meantime, a group of more than 30 local, state, and federal partners spent the last year and a half coming up with potential solutions. Cape Hatteras National Seashore says the short term is about avoiding home collapses.
What we're really pushing is avoiding a catastrophic collapse. So we're communicating with all of the owners of these threatened oceanfront structures and requesting that they move or remove their homes before a collapse, and additionally have a contractor ready to remove debris if there is a catastrophic collapse.
The North Carolina Coastal Federation says there needs to be changes to current programs or entirely new funding sources to support the public safety risk. 7 homes have collapsed since 2020, with plenty more at risk, as you can tell from some of that video. Meteorologist Kat Campbell joining us now as we take a look. I know it's a little early in the week, but people are already focused on the weekend, as we naturally do, and how things might look as we approach Saturday and Sunday.
We've got home football games in town this weekend. We've got Friday night football, a lot going on, soccer games. So I wanted to clarify for the weekend, we will see impacts from Francine here in North Carolina this weekend, but they are very minor impacts. It comes in the form of a lot of clouds. So expect to see gray skies through the weekend. As for rain chances, 20% Friday, 20% Saturday. We lowered them, and about a 30% chance on Sunday. Highs are in the lower 80s. So the weekend really does not look that bad. And from what I am seeing, I'm not seeing any lightning this weekend, and that's good news for some of the outdoor games and things like that. Locally, it's minor impacts because the center of the remnants stayed to our west. What we see here is the plume of moisture arriving from the Gulf, and we're also going to see a front that stalls out nearby. How that front stalls out, the location, it could be key in potentially another system developing down the road. We'll get to that in a minute. Tropical storm Francine has top winds of 65 miles per hour. A lot of thunderstorms around the center. It's likely to strengthen into a hurricane before making landfall tomorrow night in Louisiana. New Orleans coming closer to the center on the messy side of the storm. Storm surge there, heavy rain. Unfortunately, it's just not looking pretty. But as this system continues to move up, it'll weaken. It's going to be moving up the Mississippi Valley and staying pretty far away from us. 2 other systems to watch. So the model plots on this one right here look a little menacing. However, it's only got a 30% chance of developing in the first place, and the one behind it about an 80% chance of developing. And these are the early models that are just starting to come in this afternoon. What I've seen on some of the models is this one, since it's weaker than the one nearby, actually kind of getting eaten by the bigger system per se. And so I think that's skewing some of these model plots to begin with. I encourage you check in for a new round of model plots tonight with Mike Mays at 10 and 11. Early next week, this is an interesting setup, and we actually just got a new American model in that shows what the European model showed this afternoon. So as front stalls out off our coast early next week, and when we see these stalled fronts during the heart of hurricane season, they can be seeds for low pressure to develop along them. That's what the European and now the American model are starting to show. So it's not out of the question that we could have a homegrown system early next week. The good news is, since they develop a bit closer to home here, they don't have as much time to strengthen. It's an early look at this. We're just starting to see signs of that potential today. It's about a week out, so I encourage you to stay tuned for updates. We're going to be watching it closely in the coming days. Just anytime you see a stalled front during the heart of hurricane season, you got to keep an eye out. High temperatures stay in the low 80s through the weekend. Early next week, we did go ahead and bump up rain chances a bit to 76 for the high next Tuesday, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Kat. Still ahead, a successful first-of-its-kind launch from Florida was visible all the way here in North Carolina. Take a look what the historic mission is set to accomplish coming up. A successful and historic launch for SpaceX today after several delays.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
The Polaris Dawn mission lifted off this morning, which will include the first spacewalk carried out by an all-civilian crew. The group will also test some new spacesuits and technologies that could pave the way for future long-duration missions to the moon and eventually to Mars. Wrap your head around that. The launch was actually seen over North Carolina. This is such a cool picture. This is right here in the Triangle area. Viewers sent in their photos wondering what that bright light was up in the sky. WRAL meteorologist Chris Michaels confirmed that it was, in fact, the SpaceX rocket. I love that picture. A portion of the Crabtree Creek Trail reopened today. The city hosted a dedication and they had a ribbon cutting ceremony for the West Greenway Trail. It's about a 2-mile stretch that runs between Lindsay Drive and Ebenezer Church Road near Umstead State Park, which is gorgeous. People are invited to bike or walk along this new trail. Take a look. North Carolina Central University is being recognized on a national level. The university has been named now a 2024 Fulbright Historically Black College and University Institutional Leader. The honor comes from the U.S. Department of State. It celebrates NCCU's support of the Fulbright Exchange participants and their efforts to promote global engagement. Some top colleges and universities in North Carolina made the list for most beautiful college campuses in the South. Duke, Wake Forest, and NC-A&T, as well as Elon and Davidson, all made the cut. The list from Southern Living was made up of schools as far north as Delaware and west as far as Oklahoma and Texas. Those are all beautiful places. Tonight's Mega Millions drawing is up to $800 million. The cash out value is more than $401 million. You can watch the next live drawing tonight at 11 o'clock right here on WRAL. Get your tickets. $401 million. That'd be nice. I'd enjoy that. Thanks for making WRAL News your choice for local news. Again, don't forget to watch the first and potentially only presidential debate between these two candidates right here on WRAL. It starts at 8 o'clock, and you can count on WRAL to bring you the highlights afterwards on our news at 11. Have a great night.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.